Hey everybody, it's JWittz here with your Pokemon trading card game, Card of the Day. And today's card is an interesting one, Muck from Undaunted. Now, at first glance at Muck might not make him seem that exciting. He's kind of a weird type, he doesn't hit for an insanely high amount of damage, he doesn't hit for an insanely quick amount of damage, he's got a big retreat cost, and it's Muck. What's interesting about him? Well, to understand what makes Muck interesting, you have to look back at the past format. Bringing up Pokemon from the bench up into the active spot was a huge asset. Just take a look at Luxray GL Level X, whose bright look Pokepower helped him lead into 2 World Championship decks from the past 2 years in Masters. Another Pokemon with a similar asset to Luxray was Blaziken FB, whose one Fire Energy attack let you bring up a benched Pokemon to the active slot and also burn them. Muck Undaunted is much more like Blaziken, but in a format like this, where we don't have too many ways to bring a Pokemon from the bench up to the active slot, it's a pretty valuable attack. For 1 Psychic Energy, Sludge Drag pulls a Pokemon up and poisons them. Now, this might not seem as good, considering that he's not a basic Pokemon, and he doesn't have an insanely good synergy with the rest of the deck like Luxray GL Level X did, but the format's a little bit different. We don't really have as many switch-out cards. Warp Point is now gone, and only 1 copy of Switch is usually played in decks that want to get that switch out, and bringing a Pokemon that's really heavy in retreat cost from the bench to the active slot can leave your opponent stuck for a while. For example, Emboar has a whopping 4 retreat cost, Rayquaza Deoxys Legend has 3, Magnezone has 3, Donphan has 4, Machamp has 3, the list goes on and on. Now, his second attack isn't great, but it isn't terrible either. It does 50 damage, plus 30 damage if your opponent is affected by a special condition. It's also double colorless compatible, which means that you can use that attack for just 2 energy, dealing up to 80 damage, plus the 10 damage of poison in between turns. That's actually fairly cost efficient, but it isn't exactly a heavy attack. Now, the one problem about Muck is that being Psychic type and running Psychic Energy, he doesn't really have too many options as far as what to use him with. His best partner is probably Crobat Prime, where both decks just use 1 Psychic Energy, and they both involve using special conditions. You could use Muck to pull up your opponent's Pokemon and then hit around them with Crobat Prime, but unfortunately you're going to need a switch of your own, because Muck's 3 retreat cost is pretty heavy. However, there's definitely some synergy, and pulling up your opponent's bench Pokemon with heavy retreat cost can buy you a lot of time. Another interesting Pokemon to run him with is Mew Prime, because once again, Mew Prime's See-Off attack runs on just Psychic Energy, meaning you could use Mew Prime to throw a Muck into the Lost Zone, and then next turn, use Muck's Sludge Drag attack on your Mew Prime. Now, this does leave you vulnerable with a 60 HP Pokemon, but it might be a little bit better to run a free retreat Pokemon that can bring things up from the bench than running a 3 retreat Pokemon. All in all, Muck is really interesting. He doesn't hit exactly heavy, and he doesn't really have a great space in decks, but if you can find a way to tech him into something, he could be interesting. A lot of decks are running Rainbow Energy to fit with multiple types for different kinds of techs, and being a Stage 1, Muck is only a 1/1 card. He's not that hard to get out, and his effect is pretty useful. For now, I give Muck a 5 out of 10. I know that might seem a little low, but he does have a lot going against him. The 3 retreat, the not being able to have a very good partner, and the impending release of Pokemon Catcher all make Muck's ability to pull a bench Pokemon up to the active slot just not as strong as it could be, and I'm not sure if he'll be better or worse in the future. Only time will tell, but he's definitely worth looking at because the attack is pretty good. As far as artwork goes, I'll give him a 7 out of 10. I know Muck is a really basic Pokemon, but I really like the colored pencil style artwork on this, and compared to some past Mucks, this Muck looks a lot better, I guess you could say, despite how ugly of a Pokemon Muck is already. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's limited card pool card of the day. Tomorrow will be the last limited one, and then I'll see you guys on Thursday for another fact of the day. Peace!
You want the best tricks? I suggest you Prof-It. You want a mess spread? I suggest you drop it.
Once we started rolling, you know you can't stop it. Let's go and get some lessons from JWittz and Prof-It. Yeah!